Oh, good morning. I thought I'd pop on now. Now or never. Anyway, not much is going on. Not much is new, really. So, good morning. I just saw that I'm live. At some point, this thing starts. Anyway, not much is going on. Um, I'll probably show you my tomato plants, though, and my wildflowers that are popping up inside here in the house that I grew. They're looking really good to give you a plant update. Um, Quite possible that I planted the wildflower seeds a little too early in the season. So as a backup, I bought some more seeds just in case. I did read that if you stick the wildflower seeds in the refrigerator, get them cold, give them like a cold shock or whatever, it prepares them if you want to plant them early. So anyway, I figured with the snow and all the cold weather right before this beautiful springtime hits, I thought I would plant those seeds, and they did get cold. So we'll see. I don't know. It's quite possible. I had the craziest, I think I mentioned this a while back, a craziest plant that kind of kept growing. Um, these Brussels sprout plants, they're about 3 years old now, really. I checked on them a while, like a while back, maybe last week or so, and part of it is still alive. This plant is supposed to die annually, and you replant, new ones each year. And for some reason, this thing has been going. It's amazing. So that was fun to check out. So speaking of fun, oh my God, the other day I went to feed the birds and there was a deer right in my face. I might have said this before. Holy crap. But I really try to capture the moment. And I was so excited I couldn't do it. I was like, shaky, like, trying to get the video. So they've been around. I've been trying ever since that day to get them on video again, and I haven't been lucky. So it's not easy. It's not easy to capture these deer and the birds and stuff like that. But I've been pretty lucky. Last year I caught, the frogs, and a deer like practically walked right in front of me, caught that. So we'll see. We'll see what else I capture. I'm thinking of going down by the river and take a walk. I haven't been there in a while. So that'll be fun, I think. So, anyway, speaking of executive functioning and all, when you get older, your frontal lobe kind of shrinks. And if you've ever noticed an older relative of yours would blurt out stuff, inappropriate things that, you might be thinking, but you wouldn't ordinarily just say. Um, like if somebody says, "Hey, your hair, what did you do? Did you cut it?" Ooh, that kind of thing, like just blurt right out. Like you could be eating with a auntie, an older auntie in a restaurant, and some kid might be screaming. she might say like, "Oh, huh, where are those parents? How come that kid's so loud?" Stuff like that. Or during the holidays, you have an uncle who complains, "Ew, this turkey's dry." Just blurt stuff out without even thinking first. Well, that happens because as you age, your your thinking skills, your critical thinking skills, and your filter doesn't work as good maybe as it used to, let's say. So you might tend to blurt out stuff. You're like, oh. So knowing that that happens to you, I've been trying not to say things as fast as I want to, try to think more before I say it, but it's not always happening. That part that of your brain that takes care of those things and helps you organize things and um just to keep you going each and every day. It's crazy the things that you notice about yourself and other people as you get older, and things that you saw in older people when you were young, just kind of happens. Like when I was young, I noticed older people saying the craziest things out loud that, you would think, oh, don't say that. But, you know, they never noticed that they even did that. And oh my God, am I going to get like that? Probably. If you're lucky to live long enough, right? Things take longer to do, too. And so everything that's kind of slows down, you think a little bit slower, you talk a little slower, you start to understand things a little slower as time progresses as you age. And that's when you give yourself grace and give your friends grace if they're older. And then you start thinking about the older relatives you've had. And you think, oh, I'm glad I showed them patience because all this stuff kind of happens to all of us. When I was younger, I never thought these things would happen to me, though. I was going to be the exception, I guess, to the rule of what happens. So far, no, that I have everything that I've noticed in other people that I didn't want to have happen to me, it's happened. you know, like you shrink when you get older. Not only your executive functioning in the frontal lobe and your brain shrinks a little bit, well, your body shrinks. Everything shrinks, slows down. It's like, what the hell? Have to just embrace it, I suppose, and give yourself extra time. you know, it's freaking bizarre. Anyway, this time in life is time for reflection, you know, a time for deep, deep reflection. And I can think another time in my life where I thought about things in my 20s. And I thought, well, maybe that was a reflective time in my life then too, but I don't think it was a reflection during that time, but a more of an expansion of my thoughts, a wonder about life, possibilities. I would do a lot of thinking and talking through the night to my friends. Um, Fast forward to now, um, it's a big time of thinking too. Uh, I spend a lot of time thinking and talking about life again, talking to my friends, some of them the same friends, believe it or not, since I was a kid. And this time around, you look back on things and try to think about what you've learned and what's next in your life. You get to a point where you realize, well, I have learned a lot. Um, so what about life that is a comfort, really, that I can eh, look to? It's hard to put into words. Certainty, I guess, is what I'm trying to find during this phase of life. Like, what can I count on? Mm, I don't know. I can count on friendships, the meaning of a good friend, what it means to be a friend, and how important that is throughout my whole life. And now going forward, it means everything. That's the one thing that has kept me going, um, kept me happy, is friendships. So the one thing I've really tried to advise people to have friendships, develop friendships in your life. Like when little kids, go to school and think about what's so important for them to learn. One of the things that's missing, I think, is talking about how important having lifelong friends are. Lifelong learning is a real important thing, of course, but just as important is having lifelong friendships. It, I see kids not spending time talking to each other as much, but being online, gaming, those things are fine, but um, if they don't learn to develop communication skills in real life, um, they're going to miss out on so many on what's important. I think one of the most important things. So if kids have friends in their life, they'll be they'll be fine. If they don't, it's a big red flag, really. So as you age, you've got to really maintain friendships. You've got to really. One of the most joyful things in life is to share your life with somebody. Um, Share your joys and your sorrows and just everyday stuff, gossip, just stuff. You've got to really pay attention to what's important as you age, and whatever's important to you, keep your focus on that. Your friends, what's fun in life. As I've said before, you've got to have some fun each and every day. And it's good to reach out to your friends as time goes on. Friends move. And that's the one good thing about social media and being online. You can keep connecting, even though you're not in person. But it's really good to be in person too, of course. But don't give up on reaching out to people. I think a lot of times, like I mentioned, in my 20s and in your younger years, it's like an expansion of your life, and everything is just wide open. And things as you age kind of start to constrict. You know, you don't expand on things. You kind of things get smaller. You notice you don't need as many things in your life, and you start to release them. you know, declutter. Um, Keep the things that you love, and give away things to Goodwill, or um, people that you think will like your stuff. I mean, you you know can't take it with you, kind of thing. So at this stage, really, you start to constrict. You start to need smaller amounts of things. Um, Downsize is what I'm trying to say. You downsize things. Um, I've heard people describe this phase of life as so different from younger years. As you accumulate things in your older years, um, you start to lose lose things, really. Uh, yeah. and and I'm trying to think of a way to describe this without having it sound too depressing, but I think it's just a natural progression of life. And it's hard to really expand your horizons at this stage when you're trying to like make yourself comfortable, um, organize. You've got to organize your finances and what's next, what is going to be next. So that's what I've been doing. Um, Planning ahead for what would be an easier move, for instance, when I have to move from where I am. I'm trying to unload stuff that I don't use, and things, so the next move would be easier and less stuff to move, kind of thing. Get my papers in order. Um, it's a time for preparing wills, and write down all your passwords, things like that. So your monthly expenses, um, all kinds of things. I think you have to really become a little bit more organized. Or at least I do. Now, I don't. Nobody could come in and step in and take over for me if I couldn't pay my own bills or, you know, as I'm thinking, what can I do to make it any easier for myself? Try to stay healthy um, in mind and body. Try to organize things in case something happens where I can't do something anymore, for instance, that kind of thing, you know, and while my executive functioning skills are at least trying to work, are working, even though if you notice, you say the wrong word. You tend to forget a little bit more during this phase of life, and you know, it's interesting, I will say. I'd like to know how many other people in this stage, in this old age phase, how many other people are kind of thinking the same way I do, or if I'm totally nuts or whatever. I do think other people in their 60s and 70s, I think they also must be reflecting. How can you not? And you have to kind of reflect in order to get to know where you've been, so you know what you would like to do maybe in the future. I think I'm just starting to ramble at this point, you know. It's a good time, though. It's a nice, peaceful time. You can find peace in your old ageness. Mhm. You don't sweat the small stuff. I think that just comes automatically. You kind of realize, yeah, nothing, nothing matters too much. Not many things matter in the scheme of life. Nothing is all that important, really. A couple things, but things you kind of worry about when you're younger and think about don't matter as you age. That's a good thing. It's too bad that, most of us sweat the small stuff you know, until this phase. You finally think, "Oh my gosh, I'm old now. I don't have to, worry about what people think." But why did you in the first place? You do get you have to be brave as you get older. You have to be brave just to face, the next phase of your life. But um, it would be nice to have that braveness at a younger age too, though. I never really had that until later on, you know. Um, yeah, it's nice to look back and think, oh, I was right about this, what I thought about that, and it's good to to know that you can gain you gain a lot of knowledge as you go through life, and it can help you in this phase. My goodness, I am really, really just like probably not even making sense at this point. I'm enjoying my coffee anyway. I'm having some caffeine and um, hopefully the sun will come out soon and I can get back out there. I don't know what you're going to do today, but that's my plan to get outside. We'll see. Trying to think what's new. Not really anything. Next time I get back on here, I guess I should really talk about my latest adventure. Um, I've been really thinking about all the experiences that I've had about I'm changing the subject right now. I've had visions that come true. I've had premonitions, dreams that become kind of like a reality, that kind of thing. Maybe because I have more time to think about stuff, I'm delving into my intuition more. It's really been a fascinating journey. Like I'll be thinking about somebody and then they'll call me. That happens a lot, but more so now. I don't know. I want to get back tomorrow to you on live and really tell you about some of the craziest things that have happened that have come true. It's kind of wild. All right. So I'll see you next time. Peace out.